Hi there, this is Shauna from Foiled Fox, and today I'm sharing with you a butterfly card using the Concord and Ninth Butterfly Beauty stamp, the butterfly card die, and the Hero Arts Waves background stamp. We'll be doing the one that's on the left and using those three dies. We're starting here with the watercolor paper. I think this is Ganson XL, and stamping with the Delicata Black Shimmers stamp pad. It has a beautiful shimmery look to it, but I'm actually going to heat emboss with clear embossing powder just the body. I didn't do the wings. You certainly could if you wanted to, but I didn't in this example. But you'd see that since I didn't, and I didn't let it dry completely, you can see here that even though I am using clear water, that it's some of the ink has kind of bled through. I'm not too worried about it for this example because I know it'll dry back to nearly clear, but also we're adding all these rich colors in here of watercolor. I like using the wet on wet method because what that means, where you're adding the clear water and then now getting your brush all nice and juicy with your colors and then just kind of dropping them in. It makes blending so much easier, at least for me, and I can just kind of dab in wherever I want to and it just blends on its own. That's kind of the magic of watercolor. But here I've put blue on the edges, then green, and then purple in the center, and then some nice gold or yellows in the four corners of the butterfly. I'm going to, because I am impatient, I am drying it with my heat tool, and you'll see that it dries back in the center a little too much. So I'm adding, before the whole thing gets completely dry, I added a little bit more purple. And you can see here that it does really blend very nicely. And I like that a lot better. So I'm going to cut this out now that it's dry. I'm not going to worry about the body or any of the antenna. I'm just going to cut those off actually and just cut around the butterfly because we have the antenna on the body that we just heat embossed that we'll use later. Works out beautifully. And then there's two small butterfly stamps in this stamp set. I'm stamping them with the Delicata Gold. Again, a beautiful, rich, shimmery gold color, and then I'm cutting them out, just fussy cutting again, and just cutting around them. I'm not going to worry about the edges too much. You don't have to be too precise because I'm actually going to drag them through, and you'll see what I mean by dragging through, but I'm going to drag them through the ink pad so that I can get those edges really pronounced, and they'll have a little bit of accent on the edges, being a little bit darker gold on the outside than in the center. So here you're going to see they're all cut out, and then with that Delicata Gold, just dragging them through the pad, and you'll see what I mean. I did this for both of them. See how nice and rich that is? Really like how that turned out. Then we're going to set those aside, and I'm going to cut out. You'll see that it has the really intricate, the beautiful intricate dies, and then using a gold foil paper, which is so pretty. And here they're cut out, and I'm just making sure that all of the little bits and pieces get out of the die, so you can see how beautiful the veining is for this butterfly. So doing that with both of them. Next up, I'm starting with the front panel, and I'm using Versafine Smokey Gray here, and I'm stamping that solid butterfly stamp once, and then I'm going to stamp it twice, but I'm going to stamp it off once and then stamp it, and then I'm going to stamp again without inking, and that way I get from dark to lighter. Next, I'm going with some blue cardstock and that wave stamp, excuse me, and the gold Delicata again. I'm putting that on that wave background and then taking that blue cardstock and I'm pressing that on. And it just creates such a beautiful pattern. You can see how it's just all glimmery and you have that really beautiful pattern. I'm going to actually cut a 1/2 inch strip off of that and reserve the other for later. Now back to the card base, starting with the vintage photo distress ink. I am blending on some of that ink, following kind of the pattern of the butterfly. And I'll get that to kind of the way I want it, where I have it just going through that pattern. And then I'm going to add a little bit of the Frayed burlap, blending that in just like we did the vintage photo. And then finally we're going to add the faded jeans, just adding some of that blue in there. I really think that the blue just adds some interest, and as you remember, we have that blue strip that's going to go on the left hand side, so I think that that's going to be very pretty. And then using the Delicata Gold again, I'm stamping the sentiment in the lower left. And then after that is stamped, I'm going to use that Fine Tech inks. Those are so beautiful. And I'm getting my brush really nice and juicy again, and then I'm going to splatter make some gold splatters on that front panel. Now with the front panel finished and then glued on to the card base, I'm adding that blue strip and then cutting off the excess on each side. And then now, starting with the butterfly, I'm going to add a little bit of foam tape to the back, and then taking the glue tape, adding each of the wings. They're going to meet in the center, and the nice thing is that when you put the body on there, it just covers that center union so nicely. So then you end up with this butterfly that has this gold overlay with the intricacy, and it has a little bit of dimension, and then including with the body in there, it's just so pretty. So taking off the release tape and then putting it in position. And then start doing the smaller butterflies. You can see that I creased it down the center, and that was just so that I can bend those wings up a little bit to give it a little bit more dimension. Put some foam tape on it and then put that where I wanted it. Did the same thing with that last butterfly. And now there you have it. The card is all finished. I did another card earlier with the cream card base and then more of the browns, but it really makes, I think, a really dramatic card. I thank you so much for watching. Down below there's a complete supply list, and then also pop over to our blog. You can see us at www.foiledfox.com.